Henry. Let's start with you. Okay, so I got the intro here because this whole segment is about you, young man. You
God.
are, for a little behind the scenes for folks out here, Henry runs the Boyers TikTok. That is like his domain, and he's done an excellent job with it. You've had a couple million plus viral viewed TikToks. The three-peat, I would say, we are at now. You went viral yesterday. I'm going to set the scene. Henry and I were watching football. He said, "Oh man, I'm going viral again." I said, "What about?" He goes, "Not basketball." And then you told me, and I actually think I just ignored you. Like, I didn't even comment on it. I was just like, whatever. I get a call today from my boss at work. He says, "I saw your co-host's viral TikTok." By the way, my boss is in Los Angeles right now. He's not even in New York where he lives. He's in LA. He goes, "And I also am a fan of Talk Tuah."
I've just got to come on here and say that podcast where those two guys are in depth breaking down every single episode of the Talk Tuah podcast with Haley Welch, absolute comedic perfection.
So my boss has seen the TikTok. Millions of people have seen the TikTok. Well, million for now.
It's like 1.3 million right now. 1.3
Way to be,
million.
buddy. Hey, that's excellent. Henry, walk me through how we got here.
Oh boy. Play by play.
Yep, all of it.
First at the top, can I just say, of course, my two most viral TikToks have absolutely nothing to do with the sport of basketball or sports at all. One of which involved the city of Wilmington, Ohio, and this other one involving the meta commentary on the Talk Tuah podcast, starring Haley Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl.
Don't you have a third one that got to 1 million as well?
I don't know if it actually got to 1 million. Last I remember, it was at 900K. But
That's
it was
$1 million.
it was close. It was one of those stupid, like, avoid saying the same thing as me, NBA editions, which was content gold for a couple of weeks there in early 2024.
And I told my dad, I said, "Henry went viral again." And my dad goes, "Oh, is he doing state capitals again or whatever?" And I said, "No." And then I go, "Do you know who Hawk Tuah is?" And my dad's girlfriend said no. And my dad goes, "Of course I do." Back to you. Back to you.
My dad's girlfriend had no idea who Hawk Tuah was, but of course my dad knew.
Of course my father knew.
Yeah, so I just seen clips of this silly podcast that does in-depth analysis on the Talk Tuah podcast. Very meta, very satirical, but also not satirical in some ways. It's really funny. And I just wanted to give them a shout out. I would say, I don't know, 1 out of every 20 TikToks that I do is not basketball related. So I just thought, I haven't thrown out a non-basketball TikTok in a while. Sometimes I do football ones. Let's just get it out there. Why not? And I didn't really think anything of it. Usually when I have a video that goes viral, at least in the back of my mind, or at least does very well, in the back of my mind, I think, okay, there's a chance that this one gets, a couple tens of thousands of views. This one, I did not anticipate even breaking past the 1,000 view mark, which is like the basement for most of our videos. I don't understand how this happened. I have no idea why so many people were caring about my commentary of the Talk Tuah podcast.
Yeah, that's the part that's confusing to me, because again, I'm not really on TikTok a lot, but you were talking about Talk Tuah, which is about people talking about Talk Tuah, which is a podcast from the Hawk Tuah. So you were like 4 rows adjacent, and people were just eating it up.
Yeah, and someone actually commented on the video who now started the Talk Tuah podcast. They did an episode of the meta commentary of the Talk Tuah podcast. It's extraordinary. So do you think in conjunction with Boyers, we should do the Talk Tuah podcast where we do the meta commentary on that podcast. What do we think?
I absolutely think we should. I'm actually devastated to hear this development because I actually watched a little bit of Talk Tuah and I have notes. I actually did a little bit of an analysis of them talking about the Pookie reveal episode, and I can't believe those are words that just came out of my mouth. But yeah, I think what we say here at Boyers Not Ballers, for those who don't know the show, is that we are the premier small basketball media podcast. We might now be the premier big mainstream media Talk Tuah universe podcast. We're kind of right there. You could argue you're the Bill Simmons of Talk Tuah content, I would say right now. You got it out there, people are excited by it. That might be you, man.
That's depressing. If that's what my legacy is, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little underwhelmed by that pursuit. I really I noticed the account of the actual Talk Tuah pod. They messaged me. They said hey man, thanks for the shout out. Really like your content. And I noticed from when I made the video to now, there's follower base on TikTok almost doubled.
Hey.
And I don't know if that's me. I don't know if that's just more people seeing the pod. I'm sure it's probably in good part because of me. 1 million+ views.
Yeah, take that credit, dog.
I'll take some credit.
Teamwork.
You want to know what? How come I am better at growing someone else's podcast than I am at growing my own podcast?
It's a cruel fucking world out there, man.
What kind of devilish shit is that? I've been grinding on TikTok for a year and a half, trying to go check out the podcast. Meanwhile, I'm getting people on a whim to just check out another podcast.
Yeah.
They have to pay no attention to the man controlling the levers. Go check out that podcast. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's depressing. I remember the video we made on our YouTube and for TikTok being hey, we have all this preseason basketball content. Go check it out. And people were fuck you. It's tough out there.
Crickets.
But I will say, there's an appetite for the Talk Tuah content, and there's definitely an appetite for Talk Tuah. I watched the first 20 or so minutes of their Pookie reveal episode. For those of you who don't know who Pookie is, that's Haley Welch, who is Hawk Tuah. That's her boyfriend. He was revealed. You'll have to fact check me on the name. His name was can you look this up? His name was Kleber, I think, or It's Kelby. I think it's Kelby is his name, not Kleber. Kelby. But
Kelby Blackwell.
I got it. Kelby. So these guys, Cam and Pete, are so funny, and I see what you meant because I didn't know any of this. Again, yesterday I was fuck you, Henry. I watched this episode about the Pookie reveal. I wrote down some phrases that they use because the humor is so tight and elevated. It's really good. Foil, referring to Haley's co-host being a foil of her. Headroom, they were criticizing whoever the DP is for how they frame the women on the show. Fluid with regards to gender. So they were talking about how Hawk Tuah, how she's more fluid when it comes to who she is as a woman. This is a real quote. Out of her depth with spars, because I guess her and her boyfriend were fighting. Another one, she said something brusque, which I actually Googled the word brusque. I forgot what it meant. I didn't know what it meant. Another one, Pookie came in pretty laboriously or laboriously. I don't know that word. Laboriously. He was laboring. And then they talked about theorems and calculations. They referred to Brianna Chicken Fry as Miss Chicken Fry. And they had an audio edit with their export, so it was a stereo. So you heard one guy on the left, one guy on the right, and they apologized in the comment section. I think it made it 10 times more funny. And they're they had
so much funnier.
And they had drinks, and one guy started with his drink, and then he finished, and then the other co-host brought out his drink, and it was just gentlemen, we applaud you at Boyers Not Ballers. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, that's extraordinary content. I don't know if you caught that part, but in the TikTok of that episode, they said that the relationship between Pookie and Hawk Tuah is sidereal and auspicious.
Just like such elevated, because a lot of people expected this to be like, oh, these women are dumb or like something like that. No, this is like critical analysis. A lot of the commenters were like two philosophers just hashing it out on this, and it's true. It's very funny. It's very well done. It's a terrific idea for content.
It's great. Cam and Pete, shout out to you guys.
Shout out Cam and Pete. Have Henry on the podcast, boys. I mean, I'll come too, but you want this guy. He got talking, and it is so devastating, Henry, that we can market other people's shows and not our own. That's sadly, and we can market other people's fucking towns as well, and not Wilmington, Ohio, and Talk Tuah have been lifted up thanks to Boyers Not Ballers, a basketball podcast.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Does anyone want to tune in for some Austin Reeves takes, or is it just all Talk Tuah?
We gotta get Nicky Numbers back out here. That'll do the trick. Anyways, Hen, let's get into what the people are here for, which is basketball talk.
No, that's what the people were here for. People are tuning out now.
we actually the video on YouTube is ending now.